What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Blood Hunt. This time, with Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt issue number 3, and the finale of this series. And if you guys missed any parts of this series or this event, then I'll put a card at the top of the screen for you, and a link at the end of the video to the playlist. But when we left off with this series, Morbius had decided to join up with Hemoglobin Inc. in creating a cure for vampirism, not knowing though that the company had been bringing in some people from off the streets against their will. And not only that, but Colleen has been bitten and now experiencing a change. All while Spider-Man along with Misty Knight and the Lizard are in hot pursuit and have put together their plan of attack on this Hemoglobin Inc. after they've discovered their nefarious plans. So if you guys are ready for the conclusion to this Spider-Man tie-in to Blood Hunt and you want to see if and how they get their friends or frenemies back, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So we picked this issue up right where the last one ended. And Spidey and Misty's plan is to ram a truck straight through the doors of Hemoglobin Inc. And that's exactly what they do. And once they get inside the building, they decide to split up, as Spidey then follows the Lizard since he seems to have Morbius' scent. While Misty, on the other hand, goes looking for a terminal to upload the virus that Maxine Danger gave them in the last issue. And we then follow Misty in search of that terminal, and she finds one easily. A little too easy. And as soon as she sits down and inserts the virus, she's greeted by Colleen, who's happy to see her partner. But to the surprise of Misty, Colleen is now fully changed, and she tells Misty how much better she feels now. And then we switch over to Spidey and the Lizard as they search for Morbius. And although Spidey thinks that they need to form a plan, the Lizard bursts through a door and goes in swinging. So Spider-Man decides to use the chaos to slip past and find Morbius on his own. Back with Colleen and Misty though, Colleen tries to convince Misty to join in with her and TJ. But we know Misty ain't going for it, so of course Colleen leaps in to attack her friend. But Misty ain't no pushover, and she catches Colleen with a metal arm punch to the face. The Lizard, meanwhile, as he just tears through the vampires that charge at him, finally comes across a big boy vamp that seems to finally be a match for the giant Lizard. But when Spider-Man comes across more vampires, he takes a shot and asks if any of them can point him to Morbius. And believe it or not, someone actually does. A female vampire that warns Spidey that their cure won't fight back the hunger for long, and they didn't choose to be here. But then Spidey manages to find Morbius still in his lab working on the cure. And as Morbius suspects that Spider-Man is here to rescue him, Morbius is not really looking to leave. The biggest challenge that he's had to face with being a scientist is trying to find funding. For years, he's had to conduct his research in the bowels of the city, and now for the first time in a while, he has real equipment to work on. But Spider-Man informs Morbius that this new ally has been turning people against their wills. And not only that, but Morbius informs Spidey that he still hasn't been able to perfect his cure. Sure, he can at least cure the specific strain of vampirism created by Hemoglobin Inc., but not much beyond that. But to Spider-Man, this is still a huge achievement. He can still help to cure the people here that have been turned against their will at least. So Morbius agrees and decides to help. But then Spider-Man's Spidey sense goes off and he knows the danger is coming. So he snatches up Morbius before he can grab the cure, just before the Lizard and that big-ass vamp come bursting through the lab with their fight. But Morbius ain't going back empty-handed, and he goes back in to help his buddy Lizard, and then tells Spider-Man to grab the cure, and then to drop a vial into the cooling system so it can disperse from there throughout the building. So Spider-Man heads up to the roof to handle that. Meanwhile, Colleen has now gotten the upper hand in her fight with Misty Knight. But Colleen isn't trying to end Misty. Instead, she continues to try and convince Misty to come to their side. But again, Misty continues to refuse. Meanwhile, on the roof, Spider-Man catches some resistance when he finds TJ up there with a couple of vampire goons with him. He's there to stop Spider-Man from doing something that he'll regret, he tells Spidey. But as TJ begins going into his supervillain monologue, Spider-Man just straight up skips to the end when he pops open a vial and dumps the cure into the ventilation system. He didn't want to interrupt. And now as the cure gets dispersed through the facility, TJ gets super pissed and he sends his goons after Spider-Man, who easily webs them up. But before he deals with TJ, a helicopter then arrives with Maxine Danger, and she comes in reminding TJ of his non-compete clause from his Beyond contract. And she could either destroy him in court, or he can take the cure and come back and work for her again as her assistant. But TJ's not a fan of coming back, so he makes a break for it and chooses option A. But Maxine was prepared for that and has one of her men fire a silver-lined net to snatch up TJ and bring him back while he enjoys the burning of the silver against his body. Then Maxine hands Spider-Man a breakdown of Morbius's data from the cure. They had put it to the side when they scrubbed everything else. And then she tells Spidey that Morbius is free to continue using the lab as long as he likes. And then she takes off just before Misty Knight joins Spidey on the roof. Then Misty tells Spidey that she's found Colleen, and now she's chilling out with the other victims while they figure out a way to help get them all back home. The cure had worked on all of the vampires created by hemoglobin, but Morbius and the older vampires were still unchanged. But Spidey does have Misty relay the good news to Morbius, that he's allowed to continue his research here as long as he wants, while Spidey meanwhile decides to web out into the city, since he's still got a lot more work to do in protecting the city that never sleeps. And as Spider-Man swings away, he thinks that nothing has really changed in this city. Yeah, they were able to help a few, but it's still pretty ugly out here, and this cure has only been like putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound. But his new cure synthesized webs are still a nice little combo that's able to at least help out a small percentage of people. People who had just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now they have another chance at life. Because another chance is as close to a happily ever after than most get. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue and this series. So what did you guys think about this Blood Hunt tie-in series? I kind of gotta admit that I'm not really sure why we got an Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt series, since it really didn't seem to move the full event forward much in my opinion. So it really could have just been the main Amazing Spider-Man series with a Blood Hunt tie-in label on it. But all in all, this was a decent series, and it did have some pretty fun moments, I think. As a whole, though, I think this Blood Hunt event has been a success in my eyes, so I'm not mad at this Spider-Man series. But I'd like to know you guys' thoughts on the series and this Blood Hunt event as a whole. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you can do so by stopping by the Comics Icons store and picking you up some of this Comics Icons merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video available for download, or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and there will be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, your voice will be heard during our interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future and other comic news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icons merchandise from the Comics Icons store. Plus, we've got tiers to the memberships as well, beginning at just 99 cents. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of those, then you can still be a tremendous help to the future of this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.